Hey guys, it's Matt again. I thought I'd put together a video on an interesting penny, one that you actually didn't want to receive, which sounds a little strange, but the reason people were receiving these, they were actually plaques. They were referred to as death plaques or memorial plaques, and they were issued to anyone who actually died in World War One. So they were put together in London. There was actually a competition for the design with over 800 submissions, which is interesting. You don't really see that so much anymore. Like, it seems to be back in that sort of period, and it was the same setup for Australia's first postage stamp, that there was a competition put together and everyone submitted their designs, and there was a panel that selected what ultimately became the design. But anyway, get back to the point of the video. So these plaques were given to the next of kin, to people who were actually died in World War One, and there were over 1 million of them issued. So they're not terribly rare to see in the industry. They're the kind of thing that it's sort of strange, because it's weird to think that people seek to purchase someone else's memorial plaque, but I think for a lot of people that are interested in collecting war-related items, it represents just a really interesting part of human history. And there are a lot of things when you look into it that actually have pretty grim connotations, but obviously to a collector it represents something a bit different. It's something like a piece of a bigger story, I suppose you could say. So there have been cases where I've been working in a shop and someone's come in and been a little upset or offended that we're displaying a death plaque for someone, and they think that it's really inappropriate that you would sell something like that. The reality of that story in that particular instance is that plaque was actually sold to us by a descendant of someone who had been issued that plaque, and they fell on hard times and they needed some money. And I was talking to the person as they sold it, and they had explained that they didn't really have anything to do with that relative of theirs, and it served as a reminder of a period that they would prefer to forget. And interestingly, there were a number of recipients, so families of deceased who received these medallions. They came with a scroll, a scroll, and it was in a little like a fold-up box, and there was also a letter that accompanied it. Sometimes they were sent separately, but at any rate, there were some recipients that just returned them. They didn't even open them because they just didn't want to acknowledge what had happened. And so it represents obviously very different things for different people, but it's an interesting part of the collecting community, I suppose, one that relates to a pretty grim time in human history, but a lot of people are interested in it. So that's the story of the dead man's penny, or the death plaque.